You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
One Saturday I took a walk to Zipperhead.
At the peak of punk rock, a group of sarcastic dudes out of Philly formed one of the strangest bands ever. No one expected that they would have an alternative hit in the 80s that eventually led to a major label contract, and shortly after, a breakup. I'm joined by my Another Cheetah bandmate Paul Menotiades to discuss Punk Rock Girl and why the Dead Milkmen have always been one of his favorite bands.
Give me a chance, let's go slam dance to a dress like Minnie Pearl. Just you and me, punk rock girl.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
So Paul, of course you would pick the Dead Milkmen to talk about on your second appearance on One Hit Thunder. Anyone could have guessed that you would have picked this. And right off the bat, as one of the most musically proficient people I have ever known, it's wild to me how much you love the Dead Milkmen. Yeah. And I've been thinking about it a lot, like why that is. Yeah. And the only thing I can figure out about it, there's a little bit of nostalgia behind it. That's a lot of why I like it too. Okay. I love that Big Lizard in My Backyard album.
Totally.
Loved skateboarding to it. You can tell me whether I'm wrong or right about this, and this definitely applies to Punk Rock Girl.
Yeah.
Is I don't think that you could ever possibly write the stuff Dead Milkmen does, because it would be something you would never think of. Yeah. They do things that you would never think to do because they are out of the realm of musical, of making sense musically. Yeah. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely. I don't even know where to start. On that front. Yeah. It's kind of like, was it Steve Malcolm is saying, like, when creating Pavement, he had to like unlearn playing guitar. Is that PJ told me that once, which I thought was a pretty cool. But I would have to do something like that or something. Not to say that they are bad musicians or like don't know what they're doing or something, because I personally think they are good. I think what really puts that whole vibe, that whole idea way out front are the vocals. Right. I mean, that's there's no arguing that, yeah.
Well, I also, when I listen to Punk Rock Girl, I think about the guitar lead.
Yeah.
Which, as a very, once again, musically proficient person, explain to us what's so weird about that guitar lead.
Yeah. To me, it sounds intentionally played that way.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So
it sounds like somebody who doesn't know how to play guitar.
Yeah.
Wrote something on guitar, and I didn't really take the time to like sit down and like play really, around, fiddle around and see like what's going on there. Is it all in the right key, or they're hitting a lot of notes that aren't even that sound bad intentionally?
Right. Yeah, intentionally though. Yeah, a lot of bendies that don't quite get there, or where are they going with that one? I don't know, but I think it's on purpose. It's purposeful and it's constructed. You know, I think that. They might not say that. They might say, no, we were young, didn't know what we were doing. But I think that like when it comes down to it, that was a major label release. That record was recorded well sonically. I mean, like every album after that was like terrible sonically compared to that, right?
Somebody was in the room that knew what they were doing when they recorded this. So anything that sounds like a mistake or sounds like amateur was well thought out and intentioned.
It wasn't missed.
Right.
Yeah.
So if sounding a little off and being punk rock and not sounding perfect was what they were known for, then that was thought of when this song was put together, because like you said, it sonically sounds good. It sounds good enough to be played on the radio and on MTV, which it was. Yes. So someone took the elements of knowing what made the Dead Milkmen, brought that to this song, which it's a great song.
I was going to say, a lot of times, if you talk to other people that about one-hit wonder songs and stuff like that, they might say that you might talk to somebody whose favorite band happens to have a hit at some point, and you know, typically they might say like, yeah, well that song like got them big and stuff, but it's like their worst song. In this case, no, it's a pretty good song. Punk Rock Girl's a really good song.
This is easily their best song. Like, you know, I love Bitchin' Camaros as much as the next guy, but it's not really that good of a song. This is definitely a good song. And like the vocals too, the vocal delivery
Yeah.
is so weird, and sometimes it goes a little too long on the line, or he's like stuffing a bunch of words in there, and that in itself makes it so catchy and fun to sing along to.
Totally.
You know, I have the lyrics here, which, you know, we all know these.
Yeah, we know them, yeah.
And the references to Zipperhead, a lot of Philadelphia. They're a
stuff.
Philly-based band,
Right.
and just very descriptive, and you just, you know, he's singing them and you're picturing them jumping up on the table and shouting anarchy and whatever. So,
literally, like, just talking about what their lives or something. Yeah,
Right.
like what's immediately around them. You know what's funny about the fact of, like, just talking about things in Philly and being a band from Philly? You can even hear their, I want to say accent, but you know what I mean?
Right.
It comes through so harsh and, like, so apparent, and that's cool too, I think.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking even how this song charted and things like this. It peaked, and you know, this is called One Hit Thunder.
Yeah.
Calling this song a hit is a little bit of a stretch, but it's one of those rare things where the legacy of this song has made you and I consider it a hit, and a lot of people would consider it a hit.
Yeah.
But at the time it came out, it wasn't some hit song.
Right,
It
right.
charted at number 11 on the alternative charts. And at the time that this song was number 11, the number one song on the alternative charts was Stand by REM, which strangely, these two songs seem like of the same time, guitar tone wise and the recording wise. And this song's a lot looser and a lot more punk. But those songs were back to back on a playlist or a mix. They sound like they should go together.
They sound of the same time. Yeah, of the era. Yeah.
They're both fun.
Yeah.
They're fun songs. They make you feel good.
Right.
And they're both great.
And they have a familiar cadence about them, like a 1-4-5, not in the Dead Milkmen case, but you know what I mean? So there's nothing new. There's nothing, not new, but like there's nothing too hard to digest with what's going on there. Yeah.
And a very distinctive voice.
Yeah.
Singing over top of them.
No doubt.
And with memorable lyrics.
And
things like that.
you know, it's the end of the world as we know it.
Oh, yeah.
That type of song, right? The Dead Milkmen have so many songs like that.
Right.
You know, we were talking about spoken word earlier and stuff like that. Like, not that it's that, but I mean, they took all the opportunities they could to just talk about things, you know what I mean, that they wanted to talk about over top of music.
Right.
Which REM is not afraid to do, you know?
No, this song tells a pretty distinct story. Like, no one says, like, what is Punk Rock Girl about? Like, you know exactly what this song is about. Whereas REM's a little bit more like, ooh, what is that song about?
Right. The parallels are, you know, not totally lined up.
Yeah.
But like Stewart, remember that song? The Dead Milkmen song, Stewart.
I love Stewart. Stewart might be my favorite Dead Milkmen. That
It's a
song,
great
or If
song.
You Love Somebody, Set Them on Fire. Like top two Dead Milkmen for me.
So
but
he's not saying anything profound in that.
no, it's,
right? But
it's making fun of the
satire.
rambling. Yeah, it's making fun of like the rambling conservative next door neighbor, basically.
From, middle of America or something. Yeah,
But
right.
one of the things
Homophobic.
that shocked me about this song when I was doing the research for it is I agree with you. No one's confused by what Punk Rock Girl is about, except that I realized that I'd been interpreting the song incorrectly, because according to the guy who wrote it, the song is actually, the way he described it is, it's a song written by a person who's never experienced rebellion, imagining what it would be like to be with someone who's rebellious.
Okay.
Which I think, looking at the lyrics with that in mind, makes it all the funnier, because it is like the most PG version of rebellion. Like they're like yelling at a pizza parlor and like stealing a CD.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing too like actually like rebellious going on. Yeah.
Right. And they said the idea behind the song was to write like a punk rock nursery rhyme.
Okay.
And that's a simple love song about a boy dreaming of a rowdy, delinquent girlfriend, which is a really funny concept for a song. I mean, it's what makes the song stand out. Picturing this punk rock girl is really funny.
Right.
Like, we all have the same picture in our mind of what she looks like. We, you know, no doubt.
No doubt.
It's also considered one of the first pop punk hits.
Okay.
And man, what a term that had,
I know,
just like anything else, that is just such a wide range of what falls under that umbrella and what people consider that to be.
Yeah.
Everything is thrown in there. And I wouldn't have thought of this song as pop
No,
punk.
neither would I.
But now when I think about it, it absolutely is.
Yeah,
it's
the
kind
two
of the
words.
definition.
Yeah, or I can't say why not. At least I mean, like it's catchy. I mean, it's got all the elements of pop, and it's clearly punk rock. I mean, the ethos. The sounds and themselves, like the guitars, right?
Right.
It's like, did they not have an overdrive pedal or something? Or
Right.
like whatever. That's what I used to think when I was a kid listening to them. Because all the other bands I listened to were like the super nasty guitars, right? And throughout every record, they have this guitar tone that's good, but it's definitely not like dirty or aggressive or anything. But it's still punk rock because it's played punk rock, and just the ethos, the whole band, right?
Yeah, and to have something where you're a big Dead Milkmen fan, so much so that you're wearing their shirt right now. You're currently wearing their shirt. I've seen you wear that shirt for many years. And it's great. It's great. I have a lot of shirts that I've been wearing for 20 years, and I'm totally cool with that. I'll probably be buried in them.
Yeah.
What's cool about... You could probably pick out a Dead Milkmen guitar tone in 3 notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
That's actually really cool when you have that about your sound. We talked earlier about like Queen. If you hear Brian May's guitar, you're going to know that's his guitar tone.
Yeah.
And not to compare Queen to the Dead Milkmen, but you're going to know that that's the Dead Milkmen as soon as you hear that. How would you even describe it?
What, the guitar sound?
It's barely distorted. It's almost clean.
It's clean
a lot of times.
No, it is. I would say yes. Full on. Not even like at the edge of breakup, really. It's clean.
Yeah.
And it's dorky almost, right?
Yeah, that's what's weird about it. And they're playing things that are
plucky and plunky, right?
Yeah, it's totally meant to be distorted, but it's not.
Right.
It sounds like when you got your first ever guitar amp, which was probably a little combo, a little crate combo, or if you're lucky, a Fender combo that didn't have a distortion pedal.
Right.
But you're playing power chords or whatever.
Yeah.
and you're playing on it and playing it like that. That's what this sounds like.
Yeah. And it's unapologetic. I mean, it's just, that's what it is.
Have you paid? I know you have. Have you paid attention to what they play guitar wise and amp wise?
Well, no. Well, I saw them a few times. Couldn't get really close enough, or had one of the times was South by Southwest, and then some other big fest, Riot Fest maybe.
Okay.
But they were in Pittsburgh a few times. They played a few times here. The one time, I got to look at the guitar player's pedal board, and I happened to see like an OCD pedal, but I don't really recall like what amp he was using. It's something like totally like standard. Probably has an overdrive channel. It's just the step of a button or something, right?
Right.
But he had an extensive pedal board, which is cool.
All right.
So his platform is a clean sound.
I could have pictured it being some dude who was playing the same amp that he played in 1988.
Yeah.
The same exact thing and the same guitar that's not something great.
No, right. It just plugs straight in and go.
Right.
But that's all the more, reason to suggest that it's a little more thought out than...
Right. It's intentional.
I can't remember what artist this was in reference to, but I remember hearing someone say the quote one time of like, the music might sound dumb, but it takes a very smart person to create something so dumb. And I feel like that sums up a lot of the Dead Milkmen is like, if they were just people who didn't actually know how to play their instruments, we wouldn't be talking about the Dead Milkmen. But the fact that they were like, we can work this.
Imagine Punk Rock Girl, but everything is played perfectly. Like it was, it was like imagine Punk Rock Girl, except it's an overproduced, like perfect sounding pop punk song. And imagine how not good
has
that
nothing
would be.
To offer as that.
Yeah, nothing about it stands out.
Right.
It makes me, you and I have been making music together forever.
Yeah.
And sometimes that makes me question, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, why our approach sometimes to
recording.
Yeah,
we were always trying to make everything as flawless and as pretty sounding as possible, for lack of a better way to put it. Like
just perfection with the takes and everything like that. Yeah.
Right. And I guess it's that same sort of thing where if someone brings up a super old punchline song to me, and it makes me just like face palm and be like, why do you like that song? Why do you like this Rachel song?
How could you?
Our performance is so bad. But
there's a different element that they hear.
It's part nostalgia and it's part charm of the innocence of it or something that
absolutely
you can't put into words.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe and it's hard to see that as the performer, whereas you or I might try to bury and not let anyone hear our early recordings of stuff.
If we could.
But the Dead Milkmen just embraced it.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. They started out with that hit.
Right.
They started with a hit.
Yeah.
How even? But whatever, it was a different time. Then grew up as they kept releasing records and stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I can imagine like if Rachel or one of these songs that like when we were like in our teens, right? Mm-hmm. If a whole generation knew that song or something.
Right. It's interesting. Do you remember the first time you heard this song or how old you were or why?
I was thinking about it on the way.
You like the Dead Milkmen a lot. You legitimately are a Dead Milk. You're the biggest Dead Milkmen fan I know.
Right, yeah.
And I like them. Like I said, Big Lizard in My Backyard, I like that album. Had some stuff that didn't age too well on that album.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well,
but I think that can be said for all of us and everybody. Yeah. I mean, like
Descendants, another one.
Great band, but some of their songs from the 80s and the 90s.
Right, there's some
like,
things said. There's some things. Oh, dude, that band, you remember that band Guttermouth?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Woo.
Whoa.
Some of that did not age well.
I know.
Opened that up today and I put it on. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It hardly flew.
Yeah. Right. But a lot of us, and we aren't immune to that. But I don't think any of us were that bad.
Right.
Didn't say anything too over the top, but I definitely know there's a few.
Yeah, there's some stuff. Yeah.
Questionable things that we said in songs. But luckily we weren't in a band popular enough to have that held against us forever.
Or influenced,
Yes. I saw the Beastie Boys documentary and they talked about that.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're not proud of the things we said, and they made up for it later.
Sure.
By
promoting a better message.
Yeah. So they talked about that song Girls. That looking back, that's a pretty shitty misogynistic song, but they recognized it, and then later on they wrote the lyric about to all the mothers and the sisters and the wives and friends, I want nothing but love and respect to the end, at a time where still a lot of people weren't being that way. There's still a lot of misogynistic music out there. So they were trying to atone for that. But,
Hi, podcast listeners. I'm Carol Costello, a former CNN anchor and national correspondent. This January, I'm launching a podcast about one of the first cases I ever covered as a journalist. It's one that stuck with me all of these years, the one that buried itself under my skin and stayed put. It's a true crime series about an amazing woman named Phyllis Cottle, who defied torture and death and brought a fierce rage to the quest to find her attacker. Carol Costello presents Blind Rage. It's a production of Evergreen Podcasts and signature title of the Killer Podcast Network. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Discover more great true crime and paranormal programming at killerpodcast.com.
Hey there, I am Johnny Christ from Avenged Sevenfold, and I've got a podcast called Drinks with Johnny you're going to want to check out. I sit down with a bunch of different people from all different walks of life, from professional wrestlers to actors, comedians, fighters, musicians, everything in between. I'm just looking to make some friends and have a good time doing it. So if that sounds like something you're into, go check out Drinks with Johnny, streaming everywhere now.
No, absolutely, yeah. And the Dead Milkmen, too, I'm sure. They've got that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I can think of, for sure.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal, no.
Yeah.
And
if you recognize it and you...
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're not still like, no, man, we're right. Those people that say those certain things that, maybe we said because we didn't know better when we were young.
Yeah.
And then we grow up and you're like, well, I'm not going to, Dead Milkmen have a song where they use what I would call the R word. Uh-huh. I'm sure they wouldn't use that word now.
I don't think so.
I don't think they would either, but people make mistakes and
exactly.
stuff. And I wouldn't say that now. But when I was younger, I used that word because I was, I don't know, ignorant.
Yeah, exactly. Ignorant. Or at least I didn't understand potential implications for how bad you could make someone feel.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly. You didn't
empathy
think
for the
empathy. Yeah. Empathy is the exact right word for the difference between I'm not saying that we're better than anybody, but you and I could recognize there are things you said or say when you were young that you realize like, oh, that was really shitty that I said that. and you can evolve and change and move past that. Whereas there's some people in the world who are like, nope, I said that when I'm a kid, and everybody, and I'm just going to keep saying it forever because I'm not PC, man. I'm not, whatever. But
justify it however they want.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yes, I agree. It's not something that there's ignorance, and then and it's not only just with age, but with social changes.
Right.
We're witnessing it in rapid. I can't speak to like how slow these things happened in previous decades before my life, right? But it seems that it was at a much slower pace, these social changes. I mean, like, it makes sense with the modern way of the modern lifestyle, and
the information we have at hand, and knowing that there's certain things you say that are perpetuating some sort of bad
stereotype or
anything. You're hurting someone by continuing to say something in a negative light. And I don't know how we got down that path really, but point being that
I expected to talk about this for my deep love for the band the Dead Milkmen. Right.
It's not just the Dead Milkmen.
No,
it's
of course
a lot of people, a lot of artists, a lot of bands. If you go back in their catalog, you're going to find something from Guns N' Roses to Beastie Boys to Dead Milkmen to Descendants and all like so many bands that I love, and artists that I love who you look back and you're like, that didn't age so well, right? But if the people could take responsibility for it, right, and be like, I'm sorry about that. That
apologize for it when called on it.
But that wasn't cool, and I'm not, but. You have the occasional artist who won't do that,
and be stubborn about it,
which is very strange. And anyway, back to the Dead Milkmen a little bit. I'm trying to think of like my memories of like, I vividly remember the music video for Punk Rock Girl, and I remember loving it, and I remember listening to the CD, skateboarding on like the little basketball concrete slab I had outside of my house, right. And brings back a lot of good memories, and that's cool that music can
do that. Yeah, has that power.
This song instantly transports me.
Yeah.
Back to, just good memories. Yeah. You're not going to put this song on and be depressed.
No. Yeah, you had asked me earlier, like, why did I even like them to begin with? I was trying to remember this because I'm like, on my way here, I'm like, I chose Punk Rock Girl, the song, to talk about on this podcast that you both, graciously asked me to be a part of. Thank you, by the way.
No problem.
And I'm like, I really don't even know why. I'm not qualified to talk about the Dead Milkmen other than the fact that I just really like them.
Yeah.
So
that's the only qualification you need.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. But so I don't really even remember, but it was young. I was young. I think I kind of remember, Andrew Grossman. I was in a band with him when I was like really young.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, punk band called Disturbed Youth.
Oh yeah.
Pretty, it's pretty punk. But I'm pretty sure like through those dudes, I found out about them. Back then you bought a CD, you bought the record, and you hope it was money well spent. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, we've talked about that a lot too, is like when you bought a CD, you spent whatever you spent, $12, $15 on it. So you
really gave it?
Yeah, you gave it a good chance.
Yeah,
you really, even if you didn't like it on first listen, you listened to it more.
Hardly ever meant anything. But yes, you listen to it more. You listen to it more critically. And
1,000 times more critically than people listen to music now. Now you give it, some people might give a song 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Skip it.
For sure.
Because you have access to all the music that's ever been created on your phone at all times.
Yeah. You have access to tons of songs that are going to tickle your fancy within the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for anything.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to commit to it and get deep into it. And what I was going to talk about with Dead Milkmen definitely apply to this is you and I like the Dead Milkmen and we experienced it at the time.
Uh-huh.
But they could definitely be one of those bands that if you didn't listen to them at the time, if you're trying to get into them now, that could be very difficult. Especially with all music at your fingertips at all times. And I feel that way about a lot of it. Like, could you imagine trying to get into Black Flag right now?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Trying to get into the Misfits. I mean, people could argue Misfits are catchy or whatever, but still, old punk rock.
If without any motivation of what motivated late 70s, early 80s punk rock, without any of those motivations, there's not much for a kid these days to hear there.
Right. You can listen to music that was influenced several generations ago.
Yeah.
Like there were several generations of bands. Like, yeah, if you liked the Descendants and then the Descendants influenced Green Day, who influenced, I don't know, Blink.
All Time Low. Let's keep going forward.
Low.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, now you're...
Yeah, you can relate. Yeah, you can follow that path, weave your way back.
I think you're tapping onto something where, like, for me, I was a big Dead Milkmen fan as a kid. And I think for me, I was always drawn to punk music. But, like, I knew I was very self-aware from a very young age that I was a weird, dorky kid that would not fit in, like, would never be able to be friends with Minor Threat or Black Flag.
Okay.
But, like, the Violent Femmes or Dead Milkmen, I could hang with them because they were wearing their, like, dorkiness on their sleeve and were, like, it was empowering to be a kid who didn't have a ton of friends growing up, listening to music that sounded like a bunch of people who had gone through the same shit as me and like came out stronger for it.
For sure.
And I think that's like, it's the same thing with like, why did so many kids at the time of like grunge gravitate towards a Weezer? Was like, Weezer was never pretending to be Nirvana.
Yeah.
They were like, we are Buddy Holly of the 90s. Like, I think that there is an audience that's why Weird Al can still sell out crowds is that there's a group of kids who felt weird and that no one understood their sense of humor, and then there's a musician that has their sense of humor and you're gravitated towards it.
Yeah.
As far as like the music, I'm not going to say the Dead Milkmen albums sound bad. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say they sound, I keep saying this like term, but like they don't sound musically proficient.
Okay.
They don't sound perfect. And if you were rebelling against what you heard on the radio, everything's this overproduced. I think of the 80s.
Yes.
Everything was overproduced, synth driven,
reverb,
cheesy as hell.
Yeah.
And you were just like,
right. A complete removal from that.
Yes.
The opposite.
Then you start to see why this appealed to people it was the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
And that sounded really punk rock to be so much different. You and I at some point crossed over, and I don't know at what point it happened.
Yeah.
You have this crossover where it's like you start learning how to write music better, you get better at your instrument, and then you start wanting to sound you want your recording to sound as good and perfect as possible. If you were a person from the 80s who was like, oh, fucking Phil Collins songs on the radio. I hate this.
Yeah.
This is horrible. I want to listen to punk rock. I want to listen to Dead Milkmen.
Yeah.
And then you started a band and a punk rock band, and then you just grew as songwriters, you grew music. You could find yourself 25 years later referencing a Phil Collins being like, I love that bass tone in that Phil Collins song.
Right.
Then you could be like, what happened to me? I didn't.
Are you pointing out that maybe this progression is not so much, we shouldn't be so married to an approach or how we feel it at one time as opposed to like you're going to evolve as a musician and a listener.
For sure. It's rare that people wouldn't evolve as a listener. I think. I mean, I have. Yeah. I definitely have. I definitely appreciate more styles of music than I ever have, and I feel like that's always growing for me. I think there's probably I feel like you feel that way. I think I could play you any type of song, and you could appreciate how great of a song it is. Absolutely. Regardless of style of it, and that has grown over time. Yeah. When I met 15-year-old Paul, you may have not liked some pop song I played for you.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, that stay married. I know a lot of people that stayed in that Fat Records epitaph world. And
which is a great world.
Yeah, it's a great world.
Yeah, but
that is what they like, and everything else sucks.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what else is out.
And I don't know what Matt, you're very eclectic. You're a fan of all styles, and you seem to have always have been. I don't know that you ever were pigeonholed in a certain style of music. You don't seem like you were.
The closest that there was that I felt like I wasn't allowed to acknowledge that I was liking the pop music that I was hearing. But even then, like, I absolutely would like sneak into my sister's room and borrow her like Bewitched and Backstreet Boys and Hanson CDs because I'm like, they're good songs. Like
Guilty pleasures, yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, I know that these are really good songs, but like I'm really into MXPX and Green Day right now, so I'm not allowed to admit that this is really good.
Right.
But
Paul, when you were a punk rocker teenager, who you primarily liked punk rock, would you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Would you say that your musical taste was 98% punk rock?
Yeah.
When you were 15, I met you when you were 15, so
I'm gonna say 98 because leaving a little bit of wiggle room in case I'm forgetting about some weird thing, but I'd be hard pressed to.
So think back to that time. Can you think of songs that cut through to you that were maybe popular songs where you were still like, oh, this is awesome, even though it's nothing like what I listened to?
Yeah.
Like, you know, for me, it was like,
yeah, I can.
Jim Blossom's Counting Crows, those cut through.
Yeah.
We did an episode.
Johnny.
Yeah, Barely Breathing.
Yeah, that one. You draw inspiration from where it's a good song. What a good writer that guy is, right?
Yeah.
And who cares, right? It cut through everything at the time.
I was thinking how funny it was that album Daylight by Duncan Sheik, which didn't even have Barely Breathing on it. It was like post Barely Breathing.
Yeah.
Like years later.
Yeah.
I don't know how we started listening to that.
I know.
First of all, but touring 2002, 2003, that was a regular.
Yeah.
That was in our regular rotation, so much so that it influenced our music.
Yeah.
And we all know those songs.
Yeah.
Genius, On a High.
Yeah. The Golden Ring song.
Dude,
yeah.
All those songs. How were we into that at
I don't
that
know
time?
why we were into that.
How did that cross over to us?
I don't know.
I don't know who brought that to the table.
I have no idea.
I think maybe we saw him live or something.
Maybe
he opened for Ben Folds. I don't know.
Well, that's another record that would have been playing in the van. You know, we're a band that sounds nothing like either of these things, and just playing those things on repeat,
right?
And allowing them to influence the next record we wrote or whatever. Yeah.
So being open-minded to music is a great thing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that as time went on, I feel like 10 years from now, I'm going to be even more. I'm probably going to listen to like world music.
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm waiting to start like, there's a few styles of music that I can't really do.
Right.
One is jazz.
Okay.
I mean,
I love how you ask it like a question, like maybe I'm wrong, but
am I going to start liking jazz at some point? I mean, jazz is perfectly fine as like, put it on and like sip a glass of wine or whatever. But
or if you're in an elevator.
Like, am I going to have a favorite jazz album at some point? I don't know if I'm going to like jazz. I don't think I'm ever going to like pop country. I think pop country is rough.
Sure. Sure. It's one of the only styles that it's, for me, like you said, you can pretty much show me anything, and as long as I can find something I can like about it, and I think the same for you. And especially, I think that if it's coming from you, if you are showing me someone that you're a filter, like this song must be really good, even though if it's a pop song or whatever, it must be if you like it, right? So like, but that's a style that you take a song that is a great
pop song,
great pop song, and you present it in this fashion, this style. That's one of the only styles that, it's going to be hard for me to like a song for the song.
Yeah, the thing is that maybe it's a great pop song.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it with the Southern accent
right,
and then
where's that
putting a fiddle in it? Like, or whatever. Like, why are you putting those elements in there? What about that is going to make me like that? What could possibly be a pop song more? So that's like, I find myself being like, am I going to like this?
I can answer that question for you. I don't like bro country at all, but country music is probably the only genre of music that still basically lives on the radio. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
People aren't going to stream a country song. They're listening to a country radio station. So if you're writing a pop song and you want it to be on the radio and you want it to hit hard, you're going to try to get it on the country radio station so that people are requesting it and you're getting those plays on and spins.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against country music.
Yeah.
I like plenty of country songs.
Yeah.
I'm talking like the ones that are just like...
like the Florida Georgia Limes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's just pop. It could have been a pop song, but you're just going to add a twang to it. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that.
Yeah. Right.
So that's another style. And then other than that, I feel like I'm pretty open.
Well-rounded as far as what's
whatever if it's a great song.
Yeah. If you think about the song Punk Rock Girl, I mean, it almost sounds like square dance ish. right?
Wow, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, kind of. Dun, 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 dun.
Like, what is this hokey thing going on here?
You could almost do the chicken dance to that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You really could.
So that's weird, you know? That's weird that I like that, that I like the song as much as I do because of that. Whatever. I think that it's just kind of flirting with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not enough to like make me just discount the song.
It's definitely the word hokey.
Yeah.
Which we use. We use that word. Sometimes we're writing songs. We're like, that sounds hokey.
Yeah.
But what
as a description of something we don't want to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you and I had that experience.
Totally.
Another Cheetah, the last song that we released called Lemon Yellow Pants.
Right.
We changed that song a lot.
Yeah.
We ended up going with you said, I have a way that I want to do this song.
Right.
It's like a presentation of the same song, but we're going to change the way we play it slightly because the original way we were playing it sounded hokey.
Yeah.
And that description in layman's terms, describing that would be, it sounds
like a
nursery rhyme. Yeah, would be a good way, because it's funny that to say that is like,
it's like their intention.
That was their intentions with this is like intentional hokiness.
Yeah.
Of that guitar solo in this song,
right?
And the way that the melodies,
the melodies, absolutely.
It's intentionally hokey can be really cool.
Yeah, apparently.
If done right, it can be really cool.
For sure.
And so that's a word that I would use for this song. That it's a rare thing where hokey is really cool.
Yeah, it's a rare thing. But they did it.
99% of the time, hokey is not cool.
Right, yeah, agreed.
As far as this song goes, I'm going to go One Hit Thunder on this one. This is definitely Thunder, not a blunder.
No.
I don't think you're going to find me or Paul calling Dead Milkmen blunder.
Yeah.
Maybe a few of those questionable old ones we might say were slight blunders by the Dead Milkmen
right.
in their
Could
younger years.
Yeah.
But
but this song is a banger for sure.
Absolutely Thunder.
Yeah.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Fafalios of Punchline, Pack, and Another Cheetah, and produced by Matt Kelly of the Geekscape Network. Underneath me is Lemon Yellow Pants, the newest song by Another Cheetah. It's available everywhere that music can be streamed. Let us know your thoughts on the show by emailing us at onehitthunderpodcast@gmail.com, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app. Tune in next week for another episode of One Hit Thunder.
I love your attitude and lemon yellow pants. The way you suck and pull, but still look really cool. Your karaoke choice, a 46 and 2x4.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
What's up, everybody? I am Finn McKenty, host of the Punk Rock NBA podcast, part of the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. My podcast is all about doing what you love for a living, and every week I sit down and talk to people who have done exactly that. For example, musicians like Tommy from Between the Buried and Me, Matt from Periphery, Lil Lotus and Shinigami, among many others, photographers, artists, designers, YouTubers like Glenn Fricker and Sarah Dici, and I unpack exactly how they got to where they are today with the goal of helping you do the same. So if that sounds cool, you can listen and subscribe at soundtalentmedia.com, and I'll see you there.
Hi, this is Krista Makes, host of Krista Makes a Podcast. The theme of the podcast is songwriting. Each week, my musical guest picks a defining song from their career to discuss, critique, and analyze during the show. So please join me for some fun and insight into some of the greatest songs ever written and recorded. Listen and subscribe at soundtalentmedia.com.